Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to play in my traveler's notebook and I'm going to use the August Life Crafted kit from Citrus Twist and also the MADISON ALPHA from Citrus Twist. So it feels like it's been a long time since I've done any stamping in my notebook, and that's what I'm going to do today. So I've got this little photo of me and Lil, and this whole thing came about because of this photo, us returning home from our walk, and when I decided to use that alpha stamp, the word home fits perfectly across a page of a traveler's notebook. So I picked out this floral pattern paper. There were a few papers in there that I thought worked nicely with my photo, but I do really love this floral paper. And what you saw me doing there was using my little stamp swatch book to pick out some colors of ink that coordinate with that floral paper. So I'm just setting up here to do a little bit of stamping. These are these are all of the colors that I've chosen. I'm not going to use all of those colors, however, so I'm going to test them out on a little scrap paper here, and you can see I've got up to three colors, and I can already tell I don't like the way that that's working. So I'm going to start again with a second column here. I pulled out one of those inks. You can barely see it on there. So I'm just testing out not only the colors of the inks but also the placement. So I'm going to repeat stamp the word home multiple times across the left hand page of this traveler's notebook spread. I'm going to do that in a bunch of different colors. So these are all of the colors that I've pulled out. I'm not going to use all of those. I will end up having to repeat a couple of the colors. You can see here I'm not loving that peaches one, so I'm going to order my inks here on the left in the order that I want them to go in, just so that I can try to remember. And I can already tell from my sample stamping on that scrap paper that I am going to have to overhang the bottom one off the edge of the page, and the top one will overhang as well. So I normally don't plan out these sorts of things, as you know. I did today, and I'm glad I did. So here I go with my first column of H's. I decided to work columns rather than words. I figured I would be changing ink colors a little bit less often. So that's what I'm going. I'm trying to get this as straight as I can. You can see I repeated two of those ink colors twice. And I wanted the ones that I repeated to be in that sort of yellowy base, just because that's what the predominant color in the pattern paper is. So once I've got that column of H's going, I can just start whooshing my way through here. Oh, how I wish that it stamped this quickly. It actually didn't take me that long, but I have sped this up considerably because it's a pretty boring process to watch, to be honest. So I did my O's. I am being conscious of the fact that I want to fit the whole word in here, so I am trying to keep everything really tight. With the O's, I did use those two colors that I've stamped twice. I stamped them at the same time. With the M's, I decided to just work my way up in order just to make sure everything was straight and aligned. The M is quite a large letter on this page, and I did want to make sure everything was straight and as aligned as possible. We know I'm not a great straight stamper, so I was actually pretty proud of this effort, I'll be honest. So I'm onto the E's, onto the home stretch as it was, and I lost concentration. I lost concentration for a tiny moment, and boom, just stamped the wrong color. Never mind. It's kind of not noticeable unless you point it out like I did just then, but I'm just gonna leave it. It's just gonna be okay as it is. Now, when I had initially sort of thought of this page, I thought I wanted the right hand side to be completely pattern paper, and now that I've done all that stamping, I found it a little bit overwhelming. So instead of having a complete right hand side of that floral, I'm just going to use a little strip. I also changed out the pattern paper that I want to back my photo with. The original one was a little bit too coral. This one's a little bit more orange, which kind of fits my stamping a little bit more. So it wasn't, I initially picked the coral because I've got my sort of pink coral shoes on, but that just wasn't going to work. So I switched that out for the star paper. You can barely see the stars, to be honest. It just gives a little border to my photo, especially now that that's going to be on the right hand side of the page. And because this right hand side is going to be a little bit plainer now, I wanted to add a tiny bit of texture. So I grabbed my strip and I just stitched all the way around the outside with my sewing machine. I'm also just really gently roughing up the edges with that Tim Holtz distressing tool, running out of tape runner, as I always tend to do when I sit down to film a process video for you guys. And then I'm just gonna adhere this down onto the right hand side of the right hand side of my spread. Now my photo is going to go in the middle, and underneath there I want to add a little bit of journaling, so I am going to type that onto just a little scrap piece of paper that I can then trim out and adhere down. And so because I want to adhere this kind of underneath my photo, I haven't actually glued that down yet. The strip, I can just sort of tuck it underneath the edge, stick that down, and then I can go ahead and adhere my photo. I'm adding a reasonable amount of adhesive to this just because it's got that kind of bump as it goes over the textured strip of paper. Now I don't want to add too much in the way of embellishments to this page just because I love the kind of stamped simplicity of it, but I do want to add a little something. So I'm going to add a couple of these labels. The orange one, I would probably never use it otherwise, but because we're kind of going with a yellow-orange theme here, I'm just going to trim that out of the cut apart sheet, and I'm going to add that onto the left hand side. I need something to kind of balance out that the photo on the right hand side. Although the page is less busy, it is quite a heavy element, and so adding a little something onto the left is going to balance that out. Now obviously last week I used the digital version of these florals, but my kit arrived, so now I can use the actual floral embellishments from the die cut pack. I'm going to add one on the left there with that label, and I was going to add one to my photo here. It kind of gets a little bit lost on that floral background paper, so I am going to add another label underneath that. This one's sort of, it's still kind of what I would call orange, but it's a little bit more yellow orange. So those are going to be my two little clusters there. I'm going to go ahead and stamp on the label that you can see. The stamp on the label on the right hand side is pretty much hidden by the floral, so I don't need to worry about anything on that label. This one here, however, I'm going to stamp the word home from the stamp set from the kit. Not adding a date to this page specifically because my journaling, my sort of sentiment of this page isn't date specific. It's really more a general sort of story, and so I'm not going to worry about a date stamp for this page. What I am going to do though is add a little bundle of thread underneath the label before I go ahead and adhere that down, just to kind of tie in the stitching that's on the right hand side. I've got nothing to really stitch on this left hand side of the page, so just adding that little bundled up thread underneath my label before I adhered it down kind of ties those two pages together. So just adhering everything down. This label, I had to kind of fit it around the journaling, then add the floral on top. It covers a little bit of my photo, but there was nothing going on down there anyway. And I was going to leave it at that, but I mean I can't really because there's these gorgeous puffy heart stickers in the kit, so I'm going to add some puffy hearts. I just am working out where and what colours to use. I've only got two sort of clusters, and I usually prefer a third point of interest, so I am going to add a couple of these little puffy hearts up on this top left hand corner of my photo as well, which gives me my visual triangle and makes me happy. That's it. That's the page all done. Super simple, did not take a long time, and I'm totally in love with that stamping. I love that MADISON ALPHA, still one of my favorites. I will leave the links to the stamp and the kit down below. I do believe the kit is sold out though. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there are a couple more videos on screen. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye guys.